Let's do this. Hey, it's Andrew Huang. Welcome to my long overdue studio tour. I've been here for a little over a year and I've still never properly shown you around. So that's what we're doing today. The reason for this big delay is because I felt like I could finish my studio. You know, there was always a little something I wanted to add or change, and I felt like once I've got all this done, then I'll do the tour. But what I've come to accept is that a studio is like a career or like a relationship. Like, it's not something you finish. It's all about the journey, you know? It's all about the journey, bro. Ugh. It's like a living, breathing creature. There's always gonna be something that can be optimized or improved or new gear comes out. But let me show you where we're at. Andrew Huang's studio in October 2019. Why don't we talk about the building first? So this is basically the largest size garage that I was allowed to build on my property. We're in my backyard. Got a nice deck. Around the back, there's even a fake garage door. Just leads to drywall. Well, I guess it's a real door. You just can't actually, you know, you gotta use the front door. So actually, let's talk about this door. It's a double door, outside door, inside door, and in between here, there's this foam, which if I took that out, you would see that there's actually an air gap between the outer structure and the inner structure. So it's a room within a room. I'm gonna cut all this in with footage of when the studio was being constructed because it's pretty cool. If you look up through the skylights, you can also see that gap, which is, again, the gap between the interior and exterior structure. So the inside is just one big room. It's about 17 by 19 feet, and I think the ceilings are 10 feet. So the floor is also a float, meaning the only physical points of contact it has with anything else in the world are a few joists that are holding it up, and those joists also are covered in rubber. So it's pretty isolated from the outside world in here. Barely any noise comes in from outside, like sometimes like hard rainfall. Once I heard a dog, and also almost no sound that I make reaches the outside world. Like if I crank the subwoofer or if I'm wailing on the drum kit, that will escape a little bit, but just like barely. Never had a complaint from a neighbor. It's amazing. All right, so I'm thinking right now, why don't we just work our way around the room? I can show you the different little stations that I have and all the main equipment that I use, and it probably makes the most sense to start with this spot where 2/3 of my life is spent sitting. So this is the main workstation. We've got a 2015 iMac. Most of you know I use Ableton. I try to keep the desk pretty clean because I work on so many different things that there's just like a rotating cast of gear that will appear on this surface. Lately though, the Arturia keystep has lived there just as a really nice, easy MIDI controller. I do have bigger ones, but I'm finding that lately I'm not playing too much like real piano-y stuff. I just need to put a few notes in at a time. So this little guy that doesn't take up too much space on my desk at all times is pretty handy. Got the Aeron chair with the Subpack S2 on the back. Feel that bass. Shure SM7B attached to this Rode boom arm, which is attached to the desk. I use this mic on almost everything, especially vocals, so it's nice to just have it always right there near me, ready to go. Speaking of the desk, this is an IKEA thing that I've had for years and years. It's got this nice sit stand thing that you can do with it, which I don't use as much as I used to. I do want to replace the top though, and have a whole thing with like the rack gear there, and it could also support the monitors. That's the next big project. And let's talk about these monitors, which are the most recent upgrade in my studio. I had my old monitors for years, and I just felt like it's time to soup up this situation. So after doing a bit of research, I decided on the Genelec 8351As. A, because they look sick in my all-white studio, but also because of what they call their SAM technology, which stands for Smart Active Monitoring. Genelec have a great reputation, and they're used by so many of the pros that I respect, and when I made this decision, I reached out to them because I was like, this is a pretty major change to my studio. It's gonna be seen in pretty much all of my videos. Wondered if they would endorse me, which they did. They even sent someone over to help me get set up with them. Mike flew over to me from Montreal, super nice guy, showed me how the SAM technology works, and we did this awesome thing where you get a special microphone that comes with the monitors set up in your listening position. You play this sine wave sweep through the monitors, and it picks up the response of your room, and then tailors the EQ and the volume of each individual speaker to give you the best, most accurate listening experience. And it really makes a difference. You can toggle between the SAM on and off, and when it's on, there's just so much more clarity to the music, like very noticeable. And Mike said that I'm not even in that bad of a room to begin with. Like, it's a well-designed room, it's got sound paneling up, but even the little bit of adjustments that happened with the smart active monitoring made a huge difference, and I felt like I could hear so many more details, so much more richness in my music. So big shout out to Genelec. Thank you to them for being so awesome. Also, they sent me this subwoofer. It's the 7370, and it's the same size as me. Moving on, I'm just gonna stay on the ground here. We've got my little rack. So I'm using universal audio interfaces, the 8P and the X6. I've also got their LA610 as a nice analog preamp and compressor. Furman power conditioner with a delays set up, so my monitors turn on after everything else. Don't want any of those speaker pops. I don't know why I'm doing this hand signal. And then some Nutric and Hosa patch bays. All right, so now for me and any other huge nerds out there, this is the main event, my gigantic modular synth. If you speak Eurorack, this is about 2,300 HP. If you don't speak Eurorack, HP doesn't stand for horsepower. This is a gigantic, ridiculous beast that deserves its own whole video, which I am planning. It's a lot. I'm also rounding out the synth station with an Archeria Matrix Brute just to have a huge monophonic analog voice with keyboard control and some other modular capabilities. And I've got an Ovation Peak here as my polyphonic digital choice. And now we move on to the drum riser. So I've got this beautiful clear kit from Tama. It's covered in Earthworks microphones. And all those mic cables make their way down over here to this little panel that feeds into a snake that goes behind the wall, and comes out right here behind my rack. You can see it's all plugged in there. Super dope. One other cool thing about the drum riser though, and it's a little bit janky, but these are doors, and underneath is storage space, because you didn't think I had enough gear already. Couple guitars here. I got a Fender Aerodyne P bass and an Ibanez Talman and a giant stand that I need to get rid of. Need to mount that light to the ceiling. Over on this side, Gibson Dreadnought Mahogany acoustic. So that's the gist of the room as far as music making, but what about video? Because that's a big part of what I do here. I designed the studio so that it would also be conducive to making great YouTube content. I've got a really great Halo right now, which is a perfect segue to talk about the lights. I don't even know what these are. Aperture Light Storm. So I got 4 of those. Boom, boom, bam. And that one with the umbrella on it, just to diffuse things a little bit. These are all on a little remote. And yeah, I just kind of like change the lighting depending on the angle I need. I can also dim them a little bit. That's as low as it goes. And then it can just blast off, showing how sweaty I am. The table beside my main desk is an absolute disaster right now, but this is where I would film my sort of top-down stuff. I've got this C-stand that I would put one of my cameras on. I also just pile up all my camera gear in this corner here. So mainly I shoot with a Canon 80D, which is what I'm on right now because I have 2 of them for dual camera stuff, but I also have a Sony a7S II, which I use when I need some good low light or 4K. And the rest of the room is just piles of stuff laying around in order to make my main workspace and the place where videos are filmed appear clean. So the space is really designed as an ideal Andrew Huang environment to do Andrew Huang things like making all different kinds of music very easily in one room and making the YouTube videos that I have been doing for so long. There's no like control room and vocal booth. I wanted the whole thing to be open and able to record in any part of it. I get a ton of daylight. There's 3 skylights and a huge window, and I use the film lights for my videos so that light is consistent, but most of the time during the day I am working with beautiful amounts of sunlight in here. I never really understood the like gray dungeon music studio vibe that seems so popular, but whatever works for you. I'm going for like art gallery aesthetic. Nothing on the walls. Actually, I guess art galleries have a lot of stuff on the walls. If I could have my way, I would work in a white void with nothing except the exact piece of equipment I currently needed to have. I just like it, you know, open space, whiteness, high ceilings. It just makes me feel like there are so many possibilities and I'm able to do anything. Storage is definitely one of the next big things I have to address. I want to put a cabinet here, some shelving. The gear that I use regularly is out and accessible and in great places, and then the other stuff that only comes in once in a while for certain projects is just completely disorganized. And the last thing I'll say about the studio is it's in Toronto. Everybody thinks I live in LA for some reason, and I like LA, go out there sometimes, but no, I'm Canadian. And it's great. And that is the studio tour. I am so grateful that I get to work here every day, and it wouldn't be possible without your support. So thank you so much for watching these videos, sharing these videos. If there's anything that I didn't cover that you want to know about, leave a comment. I'll try and get to that next time. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one.